Good day to all. The purpose of this little session is going to be regarding the lab manual, the assignments that will be done in CST 150. And what I'd like to do is just briefly go over what is sort of expected of you as you go through these lab materials. Essentially, a lot of these labs are going to be where you are actually going to be generating some policies. And there's policy writing is one of those, it's not, whether it's an art or a science, it's one of those things that as an IT professional we have to go ahead and make sure we have these policies. So the purpose of the lab is to do that. So each lab is going to start with an introduction, as you see on the page right here, and what are the objectives of each lab. This one here, what we're doing is we're really looking at acceptable use policy for any organization, and these are things that this one policy you want to have on file, because if someone comes in, employee comes in and they want to use something that is not standard, you want to have this policy up to date so that you can rely on this policy in the event that there's any issues that may come out of it. The next, what is expected is essentially a lab document of lab number 1, and then the lab assessment, questions and answers, and I'm going to give you examples of exactly what is needed on both of these documents. Let's look at the first one. Basically what you're going to do is a hands-on, and this is hopefully will be a good learning environment. You're going to look at some websites, and for example the CVE website, and it'll give you some good information. Most of this is pretty up to date. When I say that, you know, the internet changes constantly, but for the most part these are pretty up to date. So it'll take you through some steps to go through, and again we're trying to get a better understanding of policies, and it's in each one of these labs there will be specific ones that we want to touch on. Here they give you a organizational, fictional, organizational, and they want you to craft a policy for them, and so they give you some of the information where they want to go ahead, what the organization wants, and then they give you a kind of a template. And one thing I'd like to show you right now as we are at this stage is there's one thing, if you want to go ahead and get some free templates already out there, you can go on the internet, and if you just do information technology policy templates, the SANS Information Security Policy Templates is a very good site to go to. It's free. There's nothing there. This IT policy templates at the very top, the infotech.com. You can download some of these free policies. However, you have to sign up as a student, and it's kind of, hopefully won't be that. But there is a lot of different ones, but the one I would recommend is the SANS Information Security Policy, where they'll give you some free policy templates that you can look at. So here you can go ahead, and what I advise strongly is to create a very good template, because you will be utilizing this template as the course goes on, and you'll also be utilizing this template when we go ahead and start on the project that will be one of the big highlights of the entire course. So here's just basically the policy statement, objectives, the scope, standards, and procedures, and some guidelines. And you want to go ahead and essentially go through all this process and submit that to the Dropbox, the Lab 1 Dropbox for the Lab 1 assignment. And then the second part of it, you can see there, it's within your manual. You can read that yourself. But the second part of it is now we're going to craft, and here's where these, basically they'll ask you to answer some of the questions. And here is where the answers are basically, I have the answers that follows, so this will give you a pretty good idea of what is expected of you on each of these lab assignments. What are 3 risks and threats of a user domain? Here we have essentially Some of the points that can be coming out, they definitely have more than 3, as you can see. But here's some of the ones that you could have gone ahead. So this is, I'm not, the first one I kind of, you can go ahead and use this. I'll go ahead and say use this as a freebie one. But in the future ones, you're going to want to go through that and come up with your own answers to all these questions. Question number 2: why do organizations have acceptable use policies? Basically, it defines separation between an employer and employee from human resources perspective. And even though we're in the IT field, HR comes into everything. So you want to make sure you have really good policies. The next one, the third one, can internet use and email use policy be covered in acceptable use? Here's the answer that they stated in there. And so again, I really don't want I want you to kind of put some thought process of your own. But again, these are some of the short answers. Do compliance laws, this is HIPAA. HIPAA is a healthcare, or GLBA, which is a financial. Do they play a role? And it definitely says yes, they do. Why is an acceptable use policy not a fail-safe means of mitigating risk and threats? And here's their answer to that. So again, here's all the answers, and you can replay this if you like. But for the most part, these are the type of answers. They're essentially try to make them as short as possible, in the sense that I don't want you to spend a lot of time, but I do want you to kind of think them out and go through this process. Now, in this example, in lab number 1, there's quite a few questions. I believe there's a total of 13. The other labs are not that intense, so don't feel that this is a start of a long and long process that you're going to be encountering throughout the term. Here's what security controls can be deployed. Can be deployed, monitored. So here's, like, you can block some URLs. One thing that I would suggest for those of you that are considering going into administration, web filtering is a big political, it's a landmine. A lot of people say, how can you block something that is, but some of it, if you get your support from your higher ups, they'll agree with you, because some of this stuff may not be something that's work related. And should an organization terminate? Again, be careful here. In this one here, a lot of this has to do with HR. So if in the event anything does come out of it, you definitely want to get HR involved in it. So again, the purpose of the short, hopefully it was shorter, I tried to keep them brief, but it is to kind of give you an idea of what you expected in each lab assignment. And again, with these lab assignments, come up with a template, and that's the best way to go. So here, again, you can review this again, and if anyone has any questions, of course, please email me, and I will go ahead and respond immediately. Thanks, and I'm hoping you're enjoying the class so far, and I'll keep on trying to come back and give you more of these little, try to make them as short as possible. Take care.